Welcome to Motivate You, the Winner's Circle here on thisis50.com. Your host, JuneArcher, and I am here with a special guest. This woman is hilarious. If you've seen her, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you need to tune in to Netflix. Tiffany Haddish has put the show on, giving back to her friends and fellow comedians. She ready? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage. This hilariously funny young lady, Miss Barbara Carlyle. Miss
Good
Barbara,
morning.
how
Good
you
morning. Good
doing?
morning. I am doing so fine. I'm so elated that you decided that you wanted to interview me. So thank you so much.
I'm I'll have to say excited is not the best word. I am elated to interview you. Let me tell you why, Miss Barbara. I love comedy, and now
Hmm.
more than ever, when we've been going through what we've been going through for the past 12 months, and there's so much heavy stuff on our brain in terms of what's going on in the world, you guys have been able to allow us a silver lining, a light at the end of the tunnel. We're bringing funny back, right? People bringing
Hmm.
sexy back. You guys are bringing funny back. I want to talk about how it felt for Miss Tiffany Haddish to reach back and take your hand and give you the opportunity. A lot of people, I know people aren't paying attention, but not only did you have a special on Netflix, but you were the executive producer. How did that feel?
Oh, everything was just like, I've been doing comedy for 44 years. So it's like when I got that opportunity, it was like me doing comedy for the first time, because along the way, I got jaded, then I got out of it, then I got jaded again, and I got out of it. And now just being and doing this, it's everything just seems so surreal. That's all I can say. It's, everybody else was looking for a leprechaun, but a black unicorn came and saved six of us, just took us on a ride, and that ride is still continuing.
And
So,
for you, there's so many pitfalls, especially for females who are comedians coming up in the business. I had the pleasure of speaking to Ida Rodriguez, who was on the first installation
mhm.
of Be Ready, and just hearing some of the obstacles and roadblocks for you, 40 something years. What are some of the roadblocks and doors that were closed that let you know, man, this may not be for me, but that love for being a practitioner of your field led the way to allow you to keep going. 40 years is a long time to be steadfast and be hungry to doing what you really love.
Well, when it's in your destiny, I mean, and you know that that's what you're supposed to do, what you're put out here to do, then you don't count the years until you have to count the years. You know,
Mm.
um, I love the game so much, and it was something that I was very good at because I couldn't fight. So it was very my mouth was like lethal. So I it was just, there was a lot of sexism, a lot of racism, a lot of isms, but I persevered. I had to because I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't doing other little stuff, but comedy has always been my first love, and I might have cheated on it a couple of times, but I always came back to
Mm.
it.
You stepped out on comedy, huh?
No, I didn't. It's not that I stepped out on it. Like when I did my little military stint, I couldn't do it as often as I was doing it. You know, so just
Yeah,
little setbacks like that.
and you talk about not being a fighter, but you were in the armed forces. How was that experience for you as an American fighting for your country? Because you were over there. I believe I read you did two tours, right? Or you had
No,
the
just
opportunity,
one. I did
just
Desert
one.
Storm. I was over in Desert, but I was a reservist, a Marine Corps reserve. And
Mm.
I never expected there to be a war in my lifetime. So, I didn't expect it, just be a weekend warrior once a month, And when Desert Storm happened, it was like culture shock when because they told us we were only going as far as Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, to replace the main body, the real Marines that, well, we were real Marines, but the everyday Marines that were going over, and we were just going to keep the base, running. 18 days after we got there, they flew us right over there with no real formal training because you can only learn so much on the weekends. I mean, you go through boot camp, you learn the basics, but I ain't know nothing about fighting no war, doing man.
What were some of the things that you learned from a discipline standpoint? Because being in the Marines, that is held as the highest out of all of the armed forces. For you, was there any pieces or thought processes from being disciplined in that regard that you used for your comedy?
No, I think I used my comedy more so to get me through everything that I had to do for the Marine Corps. I was like a private Benjamin over there because I just, I joined the Marine Corps at 30. It was like a midlife crisis, whatever. I had a degree in English language and literature, and I saw the recruiter. I thought he was cute. Next thing you know, I was signing the paper, and there I was over there trying to. And my weapon didn't even work. I had a bent firing pin, but they had me on guard duty. I'm like, okay, this is a setup. they, they want me to be a casualty or whatever, but it was all right. I had a praying grandmother. Get me back
Mm-hmm.
home, right?
Hmm. I
So.
remember I remember watching Boys in the Hood, and
Mhm.
in there, Furious tells his son, you know, the military is not a
It's
place for
not
a black
for
man.
blood.
What are your thoughts on our young people, especially our black and brown boys, and our women, because our women, there's equal opportunities now for them to really thrive in the armed forces. And just because we're talking about it in your involvement, but where do you see our young people, especially children of color, wanting to represent their country, but where we are now, how do you feel about representing our country when it comes to the armed forces, especially children of color who are getting killed by law enforcement? Not saying that all law enforcement is bad. I'm not saying that. We have family and friends who are in law enforcement,
Mhm.
but just a perspective. Even Muhammad Ali, we heard him say it. The Viet Cong never did nothing to him, right? Should we be fighting? I want to be a patriot, but I feel like putting our young people of color on the front lines may not be the thing to do. We can't take care of them here in this country.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a totally different. It's a new day, a new world, and they're not giving them any kind of incentive to think that America will stand behind them. I mean, they're getting incarcerated in large numbers. They're getting killed in large numbers. And yes, there is black on black crime, but for to think that I would tell my son or daughter, "Hey, go join the military. You're going to be taken care of financially. You'll be taken care of." When it comes to like medicines and health care, you'll be taken care of. But you got to think about the mindset. I mean, when I joined the Marine Corps, they still had a thing that was known as a dark green Marine and a light green Marine. A dark green Marine was a person of color. A light green Marine was a white person. And I guess that was their way of being politically correct. And when they were talking about persons, but if you heard dark green, you knew they were talking about black people or other people of color. But the thing that I've noticed about what is happening now is you have the kids that are playing sports and they're doing very well in school. But when it's time for them to graduate, nobody has given them any kind of they don't try to get scouts, especially if you're from a very small town. They're not trying to get scouts in there to watch you, or they're not trying to encourage you to get on AAU teams and doing all that. I mean, some parents are doing that. You become a hometown hero, but when it's time for you to go to school or do something else, the counselor is basically encouraging you to join the military. They're not trying to get you to further your education or ask you what you want to do. You know, you're good enough to run a ball or bounce a ball, but you're not good enough to go and do something and be have a feasible. um, employment. So it's kind of hard. Most people they will tell, like, I'm from a very small town, and most of the kids they get out of school, they're still just walking around doing nothing. Some of them won't even go to the junior college. And you was a star in the town's eyes because you elevated the school to a certain level. But now that your time is up, it's like you're basically forgotten about. And some of them don't have the incentive to get up and get away and go and do something better. They don't know, they don't have the know-how. They haven't taken little simple things in school that will help them survive. So what do? They go out and they join gangs. They try to be rappers. They try to do this, whatever's going to make them a quick piece of money. Because now it's like, all right, I'm considered an adult, but I don't know how to adapt to these adult ways. It's totally different when we were growing up, when the community stood behind. Now, children are having children and they're out living their lives and trying to raise kids. And it's crazy. The whole thing is so discombobulated, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Now, I like how you put that. Along this journey, uh, comedy has been good to you. Has there been any comedian, male or female, who has given you some keys to success that allowed you to figure out obstacles along the way that you could share with our viewers and listeners today?
I wouldn't say that there was anybody that I could put my hands on and look up to, but there were some people who came through this journey with me, and we learned together. And when the newer ones came along, we kind of encouraged each other. But as far as me reaching out to someone who had already gone before me, um, that we weren't in the same kind of vicinities. We weren't on the same kind of shows. You know, they were in a different tier from what I was. So by the time I'd gotten 20, 30 years in the game, there I was reaching down to other comedians. Um, Back in I don't know if it was the 80s, the late 80s, early 90s, we formed an all female group called PMS, Funny Mother Loving Sisters. And it was a vast array of women that from all walks of life. And we did what we could to help female comics, because the male comics, they just weren't booking us. If they booked us, it had codicils attached. you know it
Mm.
was the obligatory, well, I'm gonna book you, or you gonna sleep with me, that kind of, whatever kind of thing it was. So we had to go out and form our own thing, and we made a pretty good little name for ourselves. Um, we Eventually I moved back to Georgia because I was living in New York at the time, and we all like went our separate ways. Some of the ladies went to California. Some of the ladies, like some went took on another field, like acting or whatever, and some just stopped doing comedy and just did shows ever so often. But I pride myself on being able to try to uh, tell comedians, male or female, that this is how you should do things. This is how. Yes, and some of them listen, some of them don't. Some of them think, "Oh, you ain't made it. You How you gonna tell me something and you still out here doing the same shows I'm doing?" But then once they've been in it for a while, they realize, okay, 10 years done went by for me and I ain't done it, so I can understand, because comedy has gone through so many uh, metamorphoses that it's hard to follow the trend of comedy, because now it's all about how many followers you got, and it's mind boggling, because I'm like, God, y'all want people to have more followers than Jesus. Y'all ain't trying to get this many people to follow God, but you want everybody to follow a person before you book them. And the message they have to uh, give to people is sometimes not even a message. I mean, it's like you're paying all this money, and I can't fault them. If they can make the money, they can make the money. I ain't got nothing to do with that. What I'm trying to say is, you know, there's so many people out there that have a message that will help the people. At least let them, even the playing field. Let the
Right.
people who are true comedians get on there and heal the land, because God set us down for a reason. For people to send messages, whether you are a performer, a comic, a poet, a singer, a dancer, whatever it is. But everybody, um, it's gotten to the point where they would rather see a man dressed up as a woman than to book a woman to
Yeah.
do a show. And it's
Yeah.
just the sign of the times. I mean, everybody's like, well, are you going to start making videos? Are you going to? No, no, no. I'm old school stand up, and the pendulum is going to swing back toward me. And Tiffany has helped that to happen, because it's like it rejuvenated the people that looked at Comic View. It rejuvenated the people that were Def Jam fans. That let's go back to the real, tell a joke. This is funny, instead of looking at a lot of stuff that's like, okay, it's funny for the moment, but how far can you take it? Yeah, you can go from town to town to town and be the same person, but at least do it so that you have a message for the people, you know?
Yeah. I feel like we've gotten so far away from that. I remember, you know, understanding the process of Comic View,
Mm-hmm.
Def Comedy Jam. You literally had to send in the tape and just really 3 to 4 or 5 minutes of just giving us your best funny, giving
Your
us your
best, your
best jokes,
funny, yeah.
right? Not how many followers. No, and I remember there was no real social media back then, right?
No,
Maybe MySpace,
a
right?
flyer. You had to
Or
have a
flyer.
flyer,
But
or
it
a
wasn't about the numbers. It wasn't about the
DVD,
numbers.
not a DVD. It was a videotape.
It was videotape, VHS tape. I remember the
Mm-hmm.
process.
Yeah.
How do we get back to the funny, especially in times where cancel culture is trying to shackle comedians and saying that certain things are off topic?
Mm-hmm.
I find it hard, but how do we get back to the funny? Because if you guys can't make light of a situation, whether people are like, oh, that's too soon, or oh man, you went there. If we can't make light of these things, what can we laugh at to get us out of
Well,
any black hole?
that's just the whole gist of the whole matter is that people want to be able to determine what is and what isn't um, politically correct, and politics doesn't have to play a role in everything in our lives. They want to tell you what to do at church. They want to tell you how to raise your kids. They want to tell you let your kids determine how they want to grow up. When are they supposed to learn anything? Half the stuff that's happening today, our parents, the people that lived in our community, you know, it wouldn't have been tolerated. Now you got kids that are 12, 13, 14 years old, and their parents are afraid of them. That is sad. That is so sad, because you got the babies having the babies, and they're telling them, ain't nobody gonna put their hands on you. You come tell me. They ready to fight. It doesn't matter that their child may be wrong, but they ready to fight, and all the kids are saying, my mama gonna stand up for me regardless, you know. And it's just crazy. I don't. It's
We're
sad.
sending them the
It's
wrong
really
messages.
sad.
Yeah, we're sending them the wrong messages. For you, Miss Barbara, when did you fall in love with comedy, and how did you fall in love with comedy?
I think comedy fell in love with me. I was flirting with it a little bit, because I started out wanting to be an actress. And I went to my HBCU, and this is the year the black woman from HBCUs. So this the Chinese year, the black woman. You know that. So anyway,
Which HBCU did you attend?
Savannah State College, the only one.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know nothing about it. Look, he was like, I ain't never even heard of that one. They were
Mike,
real black. They were
that's another issue to add to the list.
That's another one to add to the list. No, it wasn't no Harvard. It wasn't Morgan State. It wasn't those like Lincoln University. Okay, anyway, so I, and that was an elevation for me because I was from a little small town and I went 81 miles away. That was a jump. So this was back in the 70s. So we were doing some things now. That's that Denzel head. Yeah. Anyway, so I went to Savannah State and I joined a I joined a drama club, and my mentor, my drama coach, would always give me the lead role in comedies because I've always had a quick wit. Because, like I told you, I can't fight, so I had to just fight with words. I knew how to shut somebody down. Back then, your mama jokes were the best thing to throw at somebody, and then run. But anyway, so he would never give me a good role when we had a serious play. And I used to complain about it. I used to say, Dr. Stevenson, I don't understand why you won't give me a big role. And he was like, Miss Carlyle, I know what I'm doing. And, I get mad, pissed, but whatever. But apparently he knew what he was doing. So they opened up a comedy club down on River Street in Savannah. And at first I used to be the only little black thing sitting in there because it was all lily white.
Wow.
And I started convincing some of my friends to go down with me. Sherilyn Terry, Eugene Williams, Tina Brown, quite a few of my compadres from Savannah State that were also in the drama club. And they used to come and follow me and cheer me on and, you know, just started like that. But like I say, I flirted with it and it started liking me back. So I was like, okay, we can do this. We can, we ain't got to get married, but we can sleep together.
We
You
can
know,
see each other from
you
time to time.
you could tickle my fancy just a little bit. It was more, and he started coming around so much, and I was like, okay, we ain't even got to get married. Let's just be best friends.
Like they said on
Um,
Living Color, y'all still together.
we still together. We still kicking that Willie Bobo. We still doing it.
Oh man. So let's talk about Miss Tiffany Haddish. How
Okay.
how did that take place? Uh, how was that relationship? She's been giving back and doing some amazing things. Her story is amazing, but the key pieces that I get from a lot of people who are in her inner circle is she says what she means and she means what she says.
And
And
she
she
does.
comes through.
She
How was that
does.
relationship?
Oh my God. I met Tiffany back in 2007, I think. We were both on a military tour over in Korea. It was three ladies, me, her, Tina Kim. I was coming out of Georgia. The two of them were out of California. So I had never, they didn't know me. I didn't know them, you know. So we went and we were there for 3 weeks. And every night after the show, she would ask me, well, how did I do? And I, give her pointers and say, you got to stop doing this. You got to stop dancing. You got to tell some jokes. You can't dance your whole 20 minutes and all that kind of stuff. Put some makeup on, you go out there. Because she came out, she wanted to crip walk and do all that other stuff, that California stuff. She was hard. She was like a little butterfly. She was everywhere. It was like she was like a kid in a candy store, but she was young. She was, but she had the chops, and of course, the soldiers they loved her because she was hot. Not saying I wasn't hot, but she was younger, whatever. But so we would, you know, after the show, we'd go to either of our rooms and just lay there and talk about the comedy game, and she'd ask me pointers and kept saying, "You remind me so much of my mama. You remind me of this." She was like, we were supposed to meet and all this. And she started talking about her childhood and how long she had been doing this. She started out in a camp, and we just, we go shopping. I had to keep her and the other girl. They were like oil and vinegar. They could not get along. And I always had to play the mediator. But so one night, toward the end, we were there talking and eating like we do. We go down and get some old snacks and just sit around. You know, Pepsi is my drink of choice. And she said, "Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we make a pact? Why don't we say if one of us make it, we gonna reach back and get the other?" And I said, "Okay," because I was like, "Shoot, I done been out here this long. I ain't made it this long. You probably be the next one to make it. You know, you have a better chance. You right there in California, you have a better chance of it than me. You know, because it was all about politics. Whereas, you know, from what I was, where I was concerned. So, we went our separate ways. We kept in touch. I would call her and she called me. It wasn't like we called every day, but just, you know, like, "Hey, how you doing, girl?"
Right.
And so then next thing I know, girl trip. There she
Mm.
was. And it was like she became America's sweetheart. You know, she was just, I mean, everybody wanted her. And it's still that way now. And when she did the first one, you know, I was like, okay, Tiffany didn't call me, you know. So I was like,
Hmm. Maybe she
hmm,
lost. Maybe she
hmm.
misplaced the number.
So I'm emailing her like, "Hey Tiffany, how you doing?" You know, little cute messages.
Hmm.
And then it turned into, "Oh, hey Tiffany, I saw you on whatever." Okay, you know, attitude like. And then she cut her hair, and I'd be like, "Hey, old bald head Tiffany." Um, but she called me one day. I was just sitting around and got a phone call, and she was like, "Hey, I've been trying to find you for 3 years." I was like,
Trying to
"I
find
left
me.
you, yeah, I left you all kind of messages." She said, "Girl, I don't even go on social media." And I said, "I was asking people for your number. Everybody said they didn't have your number, which ain't true. A lot of people have my number,
They
but
got you. They got you.
yeah, yeah, they didn't want to do it." So she got to me first. She sent me an email.
Hmm.
I mean, a messenger inbox, and it said, "Hey, this is Tiffany Haddish. Give me a call." I said, "Mm-hmm." That's exactly what I wrote. Uh-huh. 2 days later, she sent another one. "Barbara, this is Tiffany. Here's my number. Give me a call. I got something for you." So I was like, yeah. Because I had been getting, what do you call it? When they steal your identity and all
Oh
that
yeah,
kind of stuff. I
spam,
had been
spam.
getting hacked and so I'm like, this ain't for real. Tiffany, you know, she wouldn't have had my number because I had changed my number. But anyway, so I wrote my number. She called me the next day and we stayed on the phone like 3 hours talking
Mm.
about what her plans were and she was about to do another. And I'm like, we in the middle of a pandemic. She was like, "They still gonna do it." I was like, "Well, I'm ready. You want to do this? We can do this." And sure enough, that was like July, June, July. By August, they were sending us all kind of stuff, and you know. And the hardest thing about it was, you know, um, keeping it under wraps. Because you, after 44 years, you get that kind of blessing. You want to
Oh,
shout it to,
you
oh my
excited?
God,
You're
you,
excited. You're
yeah,
excited, and you should be.
I didn't know how to shout, but I sure learned that day. You know, I played cool, calm, and collected as long as I was on the phone. You know, I threw that pan of peas I was shelling. I threw that up there. I was like, no, no, thank you, Jesus. You know, you set the world down so they could see Baba Carlyle. And
Beautiful. That's beautiful. I
yeah,
mean, for people to keep their word
yeah.
in these days and times when people have the opportunity to soar and get to the next level, when they don't really need to, they don't have to, but the want to be a man or woman of your word means so much in this day and age. How was it on set filming She's Ready?
Oh my God. You know, medically wise, they took care of us. I mean, I think they had all the PP, whatever the stuff is out there. That's why the people couldn't get it at the other hospitals and stuff. I think they had everything. But I mean, we had test after test. It was just we had to have tests before we got there. We had to have the test when we got there. We had to have a test in the hotel. We had a test every day when we went to go tape. So I had known the four guys. I had worked with them. The two women I had never met. So it was like a reunion for the guys. Tony Woods and Godfrey, Dean Edwards. I had worked with them before, all of them. So we were familiar with each other. It was just the two women. But she picked a good ensemble.
It was
Everybody
balanced. It was definitely
gave,
balanced.
yeah.
Definitely balanced. Yeah.
And it was wonderful. I mean, the you were on a whirlwind of emotions
Mm.
because it's like, oh, this is really happening. This is happening. We were there for a week, and we taped at the movie theater. I mean the theater that Richard Pryor had taped in. I think that was his last concert or something like that. Um, so we were on the outside. That's a lot. That's what people don't know. We couldn't tape on the inside because of COVID restrictions. But they created a club scene on the outside, um, between two high-rise buildings, and the people came out with their lawn chairs and everything, um, and sat on their balconies and watched the show. But they had 75 people per show. We taped 2 nights, and
Mm.
every table was mic'd so that we could hear the laughter and get the laughter because traffic was still going on outside, but all that outside stuff, when Garvey said that about, did y'all see that helicopter just come through? They couldn't hear it because of the way, that modern technology, but we could hear it. But I mean, I'd take Comic View, I'd take Apollo Comedy, I'd take Bounce TV, but nothing
Like this.
compared to doing that. I mean, it was like it gave my career a whole new, like, I had died, and it just, man, I'm still walking around with glazed eyes, and so, and because Tiffany did that, she gets so much. I mean, everybody wants her in everything. This girl got so much work that it's like, I mean, I don't want to work like that. I want to be in some stuff. I'm 62. I ain't trying to, you know, be all out there, but I do it now. I do it. Don't get me wrong. I do it. I'm just thinking, try to pretend you don't want to get it. You don't want to do it so they can get to you. You know.
You know that's right. You know
But they
that's
got to come on because I ain't got about 2 or 3 more years to be sexy. I ain't gonna be playing nobody, no grandma, no drunk or nothing like that. Nothing I don't know about. All I know about is being sexy. So you got to go ahead
and
and
that's it. We're
let
gonna
me
make
be a
sure.
sex symbol. Yeah,
We
but
will
let
make
me be
sure
a
of that.
sexy Marine that tell jokes. That won't be a
Bob, you
stretch.
you are a trip. Let's take it one step further. For anybody who is going through something today, whether losing a loved one, COVID, losing their job, uh, the best piece of advice that you've been given that you could share with somebody that could give them the light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, I'm the last person that can give somebody advice, but I do know that we serve a God that will surpass all understanding. We don't know why this happened. We don't know where it came from. What we do know is that we have always been a praying people. And if we didn't have anything else, we had religion. So if you can't fall back on that, there's really nothing I can tell you. I'm trying to stay 4 lanes ahead of COVID. I'm running. I'm running for my life. You know, um, it's sad that this happened, and we don't know what the future holds. But I think um, it calls for the church. It calls for, I mean, a real church. I mean, you got to have real people in the church, not a church of jealousy, not a church of judgment and all whatever. The people are. We have moved into a whole different realm of trying to get people. You know, when this happened, we were worshiping everything but God. We were worshiping um, money. We were worshiping celebrities. We were worshiping sports figures. And we didn't have time for God because we were out there doing whatever we wanted to do. Of course, you doing our thing. And, I'm the same way. I was out there doing my thing, but I pray before I go on stage. I pray when I'm riding. I pray whatever because that was instilled in us. It's not being instilled in our younger people. And if it has, some of us are getting away from it. And I know people will say, well, how can you say you you got religion and you got this, you get on stage and you say whatever you say? I am not my jokes. I'm
Mm.
that prolific that I can paint a picture for people to see. And whoever's going to receive the message that I'm purveying is going to receive that message, and it might be that word.
We're here talking to comedian Miss Barbara Carlyle, sharing her stories, sharing her journey, and everything that she's done up to this point. Meeting Tiffany Haddish, getting the opportunity to be blessed to even get a Netflix special. She is amazing. If you get the opportunity, please, please watch her on her Netflix special. Miss Barbara.
What happened? I put my hand down and everything disappeared. Okay. All right. Somebody said, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. So I am
No,
sorry.
I appreciate it. We keep these things moving. This is just where we are. I want to ask you this before I let you go.
Mm-hmm.
Music is
Before
the
I let you
soundtrack.
go, before I let you go. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you singing to me now? All
No,
right,
no, 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 no.
all
I can carry a tune. I can't sing. I can carry a tune.
right. Music is the soundtrack to our lives.
It
What
is.
song best represents your journey up to this point, or which artist do you listen to put you in that Zen moment to give you life in those moments where you just need a little pick me up?
Oh, I got to go to my go to girl, Betty Wright. Oh my gosh,
Mm.
she kept me, through my teen years, through my formative years, everything. I even had my daughter singing her when she was 3, 4 years old. But cleanup woman, that's what
Clean up.
I am. I'm the cleanup woman. Yeah.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
love anything Betty Wright. She's the spokesperson for the women of color, and actually any woman in the world, because she laid it down. And there are a lot of people that I can name, but I mean, my stretch of the kind of music I like listening to, and it's always more on the slow song kind of thing to love, because I'm a hopeless romantic. I fall in love for the sake of falling in love because I think that's what I'm supposed to do. I ain't got that better to do. And then comedy will come and say, "Hey, messing up. Let's bring your butt on back over here."
You
And I
better
do
come on
that.
home, anime.
You better
Better
come
come
on
on home,
home.
anime.
I'll let you go. I'll let you go.
Oh, Miss Barbara, it has been a pleasure. Guys, if you have not seen this Netflix special, please, She Read
Please.
Part 2 on
All right.
Netflix, streaming now. Barbara Carlyle is on it with Miss Tiffany Haddish and
Tiffany.
so many others. I promise you, you will, if you don't tear up, your ribs are hurt, your cheeks will hurt, but I promise you will have a good time. Miss Barbara, we love you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Wish
you
you
so
so many
much.
more success. And looking forward to having the opportunity to work with you in the near future. Who knows? We may have to do a comedy show together.
Yes,
So
please do. Tell
I
50 to look me up.
don't
Tell
see
50
why
I'm 75.
not.
He need 25 more cents. Let him
Ladies
know.
and gentlemen, that's Barbara Carlyle. I'm JuneArcher. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you. Tell somebody
God
that you
bless
love
you
them.
too.
It may be the last time you have the opportunity to do so.
That's
So
true.
make sure that you do that. Thank y'all for tuning in. Like it, love it, share it. I'm your host, JuneArcher. That's Barbara Carlyle. Be good to
I'm Barbara
yourself.
Carla. Thank you. Bye
Peace.
bye.